Hey guys, Shirtless J here. It's been like 2 minutes. Okay, getting right into it. I'm talking about Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 1 will be referenced. Dark Souls 2 will be referenced. And so will the DLC of Dark Souls 3. For me, because I have not played Demon Souls or Bloodborne or the other one, Dark Souls 3 is the easiest game in the Souls series. Simply because of how badass you start as. I'm not restarting again. I've already restarted twice. Okay. Now then, most people might be wondering, what's Dark Souls? Dark Souls is a game made by From Software. Yes, From Software is the company name. It's also a really difficult game. A lot like Binding of Isaac. Although, a lot different. Binding of Isaac is a top-down game where you go through rooms, up, down, left, right, and you fight enemies in a room. Dark Souls, it's a top-down game, and you go through the entire world, and you get ganked. For those of you who don't know what ganked means, look it up. I'm not explaining that one too. Now then, ganked, by what I mean by that is, there are countless enemies that you can run into, and just about all of them will follow you till they decide that you're out of their aggro range. Which, apparently, in my experience, is halfway across the goddamn map. I'm running through the entire thing, and then I just have like 3 hollows, 2 skeletons, and a fucking blacksmith chase after me. And I'm like, what the hell? I didn't even attack the blacksmith. Yeah. In Dark Souls 1, you start in the Arkham Asylum. No, that's Batman. Shut up. I know my mistake. You start in the, something Asylum. I know it is. I can't think of it. But either way, the first boss that you face in Dark Souls is the Asylum Demon, which is pretty hard on your first viewing, although you are supposed to not fight the boss at the beginning and go through a series of other areas to get your beginning equipment and then plunge attack the boss. Dark Souls 2, the first boss that I faced, once again, you can also face Last Giant first, but I faced the Dragon Rider first, because he's an easy kill. In Dark Souls 3, no matter what you try to do, the first boss that you face is Iudex Gundyr. Yes, that is I-U-D-E-X. G-U-N-D-Y-R, if I'm not mistaken. Iudex Gundyr. Yeah, odd name. Technically, in his perspective, that is the second time you fought him. Because later on in the game, after you defeat Osiris, the Consumed King, and way after you defeat Dancer, which the Dancer of Boreal Valley is pretty tough. Seriously. But after you go there and you come across the something graves. I haven't played Dark Souls in a while, and I haven't played Dark Souls 3 in even longer. And I haven't been in that spot in over 1.5 years, so it's like the Untamed Graves or something. Either way, you fight Champion Gundyr there, which is way in the past because it has morphed through time. I don't understand, and I don't expect you guys to. Well, I do understand because I've seen the lores, but you can watch the lore videos yourselves. I'm not going to force you to, and I'm not going to force you to listen to this. Either way, Dark Souls is a huge fucking challenge. And even though there is a leveling system, you can not really get that strong. no matter what you... Now, there are overpowered weapons and overpowered spells that you can have. However, people who use spells normally attack from range, and there are a lot of enemies in the game that also attack from range and have even stronger crossbows or normal bows or throwing knives than you do. Because it's Dark Souls. If you're looking for a game with even more challenge than Binding of Isaac, yet you also don't want to overcome it, and you want to die miserably hundreds of thousands of times, Dark Souls is the game for you. I was going to say some stuff about the DLC, but I can't get past Sister Friede. Yes, that is Friede, I believe. I might have fucked up her name. I don't fucking care. Either way. And Slave Knight Gale. Yeah, Gael. Gael. Gale. Gale. Nope. Gael. Slave Knight Gale is even harder than Sister Friede, in my opinion. Some people say that they beat him easily and on the first try and blah blah blah. I call bullshit. 100%. I've only ever defeated Slave Knight Gale once, and it was on my second playthrough, after I've already beaten the game, and after I bought the DLC, and after I got Ring Knight Greatswords plus 5, which are basically the most powerful item in the game. Basically. There are a lot more useless data that Limit Breakers talks about over on their channel. Yes. I'm thinking. Give me a second, okay? You can fast forward the video. I might start talking about 8 minutes or so. Okay? Not in 8 minutes. About the 8-minute mark. Because I don't have a pause button. That's why. Yes. I'm sorry for all of you that fast-forwarded to the 8-minute mark. It's only been 15 seconds, not 30. Either way, I'm going to hold off for about 10 more seconds and explain exactly why I'm doing that, so everyone else can catch up. Okay. Now, back to the, interesting dialogue. Dark Souls 3, the DLC, there is one area that is complete and utter bullshit. Now, you guys have not played the game, so I'm not going to get into the specifics of it, but there is this area in the DLC where you climb down a tree, or rather tree-like roots, going out the outside of a mountain with people with fucking great bows that can shoot you with spot on accuracy every fucking time and cause you to fall off the entire thing and die. And it's not even a fucking, it's the fucking optional area, okay? The climb down and the area below is fucking optional. The entire DLC is optional. You can beat the game before you even know the DLC exists. Which is, bullshit. In Scholar of the First Sin, okay, in Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin, I also have the DLC for that game because they started releasing it only with the DLC, or something like that. I don't know. I got it, and it had the DLC. That's all. So in Scholar of the First Sin in Dark Souls 2, you also have optional DLC. In Dark Souls Remastered, you also have optional DLC. I think if they're going to make some downloadable content, they should make at least a little bit of it needed to be completed. Like the first boss. The first boss of the DLC. Just make that one a forced. Because the first boss of Dark Souls Remastered, I'm sorry, the first DLC boss of Dark Souls Remastered is, Sanctuary Garden. Sanctuary Guardian, I meant. Sorry. Yeah, it's like, lion, eagle, and snake all combined in one. I can't remember the name of it, and I'm not going to. Not in the course of this video. At least, I'm only making this about 15 minutes long. But yeah, it's a very difficult, boss, and it's kind of easy after you've already traversed all the way through the game, to where after you got the Lord Vessel and traveled back to Anor Londo and got the pendant from the fucking blue alien. It's actually a crystalline soldier, but more on that later. Actually, no, not more on that later. I'm done talking about altogether. Got it? But yeah, Sanctuary Guardian gets insanely easy after that point. In Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin, the first boss that you have an option... Okay. Actually, it does not matter. The DLC in Dark Souls 2, it's so fucked up that it doesn't even matter if you fight the first boss or not. I say keep that one the exact same. But, at least make one of the bosses in Dark Souls 3 DLC non-optional. I understand if you don't want to fight Sister Fried or Slave Knight Gale, but what about, Champion Gravetender? Or, what's his face? What's his name? I think it is Champion Gravetender. But either way, it's this dude with a fucking, shield with a lion on it that he can just basically stun lock you with and then attack you with his sword that comes out of the shield. Oh, and halfway through the game, a huge fucking giant wolf comes down and starts slobbering all over you, biting your head off and, you know, killing you. Yeah. That I would understand making optional. It's not that difficult of a fight, because the only part of it that is kind of difficult would have to be the fact that they both attack you at the same time halfway through the fight. Although, halfway through the fight, you can just kill the Champion Excuse me. Sorry. You can just kill Champion Gravetender before the wolf comes down. Yeah. So yeah, get the game. It's awesome. But it's also a huge challenge. And if you don't want to overcome challenges, but you still want a challenge, it's the perfect game for you. Shirtless J, out. Oh wait, I didn't go out.